Welcome.
Hello, welcome to KMFK episode 1. My name is Kevin, and today I want to start things off by talking about Resident Evil 2, specifically the mini segment where you have to play as the side character Sherry. Now, before we get into that, though, if you haven't played the Resident Evil 2 game yet, the remake specifically, I really encourage you to do so. It is a fantastic game. I just finished my hardcore run with Claire, and I'm literally just one trophy away from getting my platinum in that game on the PlayStation 4. So it is a great game. It's a lot of fun, especially when you have all these OP weapons that can basically nuke the entire city from within inside the police precinct. But there was one particular section of the Claire run that really pissed me off. And it pissed me off in the original times when I played it too. Now, I don't know if this section was in the original for the original PlayStation game. I never played Resident Evil 2 on the classic PlayStation. So my experience with that is very, very, very limited. But if you have played it and the Sherry section was in there and you know what I'm talking about, please, by all means, let me know. I would love to either complain more about how they added something unnecessary or kind of just brush it off and go, you know what, it was in the original, they had to bring it over, that's fine. So the section that I'm referring to is about, I want to say maybe 2/3 into the game, maybe 3/4, I don't know, I'm bad with fractions, but the point is it's pretty close to the end of the game. And what ends up happening is you play as the little girl named Sherry, whose parents are the ones that created the virus that is infecting all of the city in the Resident Evil 2 game. So she's, a child, but her parents are responsible for it, so, she's kind of a bargaining chip for any evil corporation that wants to get their hands on it. And she's kidnapped by the chief of police and is being held for ransom to Claire, because Claire has this pendant thing that he needs, and it's a lot of backstory that I don't want to get into right now because I honestly don't remember half of it, and the other half is just, spoilers. So after he tells Claire, look, you have to, bring me the pendant or the girl dies or whatever, you have to play as Sherry. And it turns out that Sherry is being held captive inside the abandoned orphanage. And this is why I hated this section and why I think that this is such a big flaw in the game. Because there is absolutely no reason for this. Resident Evil 2, in my opinion, at its core, is an action shooter game. It's supposed to be high-stakes action. There's zombies everywhere. You can pick them off from a distance. Sometimes one will sneak around the corner and pick you off. There's all kinds of different scenarios in which you can be killed by something. There's regular zombies, there's dog zombies later on in the game, there are big, let's call them, they're called lickers. I was trying to think of a better way to word them, but they're called lickers. They can cling to the ceiling, and they're kind of almost like xenomorphs in that you don't see them until it's too late. They have really long prehensile tongues, and they're a pain in the ass to kill. And you have all this stuff running around trying to kill you. Never mind Mr. X, who is a tyrant mutant, which is or a zombie, I should say, not mutant, tyrant zombie. And he is just this big hulking mass, and he only dies because the cinematic deems it so. Any other time that you're running around the map and he's, chasing you, you have to shoot him, and all he does is take a fucking knee. This guy is a tank. So you have all of this shit running around trying to kill you, and you're trying to kill it, and you're trying to get to this and solve puzzles and everything, and then all of a sudden, boom! Here's an 8-year-old girl stuck in an orphanage, and the entire section is stealth. And I hate that. I hate it because it stops the gameplay dead in its tracks. This is what happens when you crash into a wall when you're not wearing a seatbelt. You go flying, the car stops. And that's what happened to me, metaphorically. The game just stopped. As soon as I picked up that phone to get the ransom call, all of a sudden, everything just fell apart for me. It was stealth, stealth, stealth. And there are so many ways that they could have done this better, but maintain the stealth mechanic. But it's so simple and so bare bones that it actually isn't worth it. So I'm actually going to spoil the whole thing for you, step by step, what happens. So when you start playing as the little girl, you have to turn around and there's a stuffed doll in a chair. You interact with that doll, and you can take a building block out of the doll's stuffing. First of all, if you don't know that that's there, how the fuck would you even think of that? So you take the block out, and you're like, okay, what do I do with this? Turns out that there's another puzzle on the other side of the room where you have to insert that block, and you have to rotate all the blocks until all the shapes match up. So you'll have a half circle and a star on the first block, so you have to find the half circle and a star on another block, and then you'll have, let's say, a triangle, a half triangle, and a half square. So you got on the second block, on the other half of it. So you have to try and find the third block, and so on and so on. When you finally solve this puzzle, there's a pair of scissors that gets released from a drawer, and you use that to, and I'm not even kidding here, cut a piece of duct-taped cardboard off the wall that you can crawl through, and it's colored with crayon to make it look like it's actually a part of the wall design. Like it's literally like they cut this wall into this hole into the wall, stuck a piece of cardboard and some duct tape on it, and then colored it with crayons and went, they'll never notice. So that's just silly. And side note here, there's a trophy for completing this section only of the Sherry segment in under a minute. And the puzzle that you get is RNG. It's completely randomized. So once you solve the puzzle, hopefully you've remembered how to do it, because you have to reset to get this trophy. And that's only if you're a trophy hunter. You know, sometimes you'll get lucky, sometimes you won't. Like, it's completely up to you, obviously. But it's frustrating to see that that is the case. And then afterwards, you just, you go to a dresser, you pull the drawer out, you climb up the dresser, you go through a vent shaft, you end up inside of, or not a vent shaft, there's like a little, a duct, I guess. It's a very narrow, very shallow one, and you just end up in an office. You go out the office, and you're inside this big playroom. There's cribs and a bathroom and all this other stuff. You go out the front door and go down the stairs, and the front door is right there waiting for you to go inside and leave the orphanage. Great. You play with the door, door's locked. Ah, shit, what can you do? Turns out you have to go down another doorway, through a hall, and then, just as you enter the hallway, you see his shadow of the shadow of the police chief. This would normally cause you to turn around and run, but you're not supposed to yet. You keep going straight. You go into the main room. There's a body on a table because I guess the doctor likes to do the police chief is a doctor, or likes to do taxidermy or something. I don't fucking know. And there's a key on the wall. You grab the key, and then the chief bursts in and starts chasing you. So now you have to go back in through the hallway, back up the stairs, back into the fucking section where the cribs and the bathroom and the building blocks and everything. And this is where it turns into a fucking massacre of boredom. Because presumably, they give you plenty of time to get up there and hide. The first time I fucking did this part, I was literally sitting and hiding for 2 minutes before the chief even made it into that room. In my personal opinion, and I know they're not going to fix it now, but in my personal opinion, they gave you way too much time for this. So you go upstairs, you basically just hide behind a dresser or a bookshelf or something. I can't remember what it is exactly, but you hide behind it. And he's like, oh, you're gonna get it. Oh, I'm gonna fucking kill you. You stupid bitch. Where are you? I'm like, dude, this girl's 8 years old. Give her a fucking break. You're the asshole here. Come on. So he's shining his flashlight. You gotta avoid the light. Typical stealth Metal Gear level shit. You do circles around the bookshelf. And then eventually he's going to bump into a table or something. He goes, ah, shit. And then you have to run to the other side of the room and hide behind a desk. And then you have to sit there and wait for him. This is like a full minute of just crouching behind a desk with nothing to interact with. If you move, you die. Hell, there's a point where he bumps into the desk that you're hiding behind and knocks a bunch of books over. And he still doesn't see you. Once you get behind this desk, you're safe. There is no reason to worry. Just hold that button down and you'll keep crouching and he'll never find you. And it's boring. It's boring. The next thing he does is he goes into the bathroom to wash his face because apparently you like spilled acid or something on him in an earlier section. And you grab the key out of the bathroom door because he took the key. And then you run back around and out the door and back down the stairs and back into the hallway where the body is on the table. And then it's a cutscene. So your entire objective there was to escape just so you can get caught again. And this is what the thing I hated about Mortal Kombat 9 did. Because Mortal Kombat 9 did a similar concept. There was a section early on where you had to play as Johnny Cage, and I can't remember who you were fighting. I think it was Kitana. But you fight as Johnny Cage, and you have to win. If you lose, you start the fight over again. Typical Mortal Kombat fashion. But you have to win, and as soon as you win, you end up losing in the next cutscene. Like you win the fight, and then she just gains the upper hand and kicks your ass in a cutscene. So what was the fucking point of making me win in the first place? Likewise here, what was the fucking point in making me go through all of this stealth escaping bullshit just so that I can be recaptured again? It makes no sense. But then, to make matters even more fucking infuriating, they could have done this so much better. The key that you get could have unlocked the front door. And that would have been fine. If you unlock the front door, great. Okay, you're outside. Now what? Now you should implement the stealth mechanics. Playing hide and seek inside the orphanage isn't something that I would consider to be fun. There's no stakes. There's no risk. There's no danger. You know, oh, well, he's going to catch you. So what? He can't kill me. He can't kill me. I'm a little 8-year-old girl in this section. There's no way that the game would be brutal enough to fucking kill me on screen. And the second point, he needs me alive, or he doesn't get the pendant that gives him the zombie thing that he needs. So I'm a bargaining chip that is better left alive, and he knows it. So, oh no, he locked me in the orphanage again. Whoop-de-doo. Big fucking deal. Let me go outside the orphanage and then start the stealth mechanics. And it doesn't even have to be something complicated either. For example, if you're outside on the streets and you see zombies coming at you, like, think of it like Evil Within, if you've ever played Evil Within 2. I haven't played the first one, I've only played the second one. In Evil Within 2, you were sneaking around the city streets of the alternate universe, alternate world, whatever you want to call it, and you were able to throw glass bottles to distract things, you were able to shoot things, you were able to climb things. Obviously, the 8-year-old girl isn't going to be able to shoot anything, and her climbing skills are probably going to be pretty limited. But she can throw things. Throw a glass bottle, throw a rock, distract a zombie, then sneak past it. That would be exciting. That is a risk-reward scenario. Because while they won't show the girl getting eaten by the zombie, at least having the zombie turn and see Sherry and then you just see the camera bouncing towards her face, that would have been an interesting mechanic. That would have been a great way to get the people invested in what they were seeing and how they were playing it. Hell, I was thinking about this last night. What if there were like the zombie dogs and you had to avoid the zombie dogs? And there were some zombie humans over there, too, that you had to dodge. How would you get past them? Well, if you throw the rock at the zombie dog from a hiding spot, and the zombie dog got hit, and it would think that the zombie human is the one that threw the rock, the zombie dog would attack the zombie human, and then all of a sudden they're both distracted, and you can sneak past both of them. It's a very high-maintenance concept for a developer or a program like that. but it was still something exciting. It makes you think, it makes you actually plan, and there's actually a sense of danger to it. And that's the thing that I hated the most about the Sherry section, was that it was so basic, it was so bare bones, it was 15 minutes of my life that I would never get back, and I had to play through this thing at least 2 or 3 times because I go through all the difficulties individually. It was so bad. And again, I don't know if it was in the original. If it was, great. They could have done it better. And if it wasn't, great. Why did you include it? Now, for anyone who else is wondering, well, there's 2 campaigns. There's Leon and there's Claire. You're just talking about the Claire. What about the Leon one? In the Leon one, it was boring, but at least it was short and it was fine. It was fun. In the Leon campaign, you play as Ada Wong, my absolute favorite Resident Evil character. She's a wild card. She's an anti-hero. Sometimes she's heroic. Sometimes she's villainous. You know, she does what she wants. But during her section of the Leon campaign, when you play as her, at least it was fun. You have a gun. You can kill things. You can, actually shoot people, zombies, whatever. And her alternative weapon was a, let's call it a hacking device, a hacking tool. I can't think of what it actually was. And all you did with that was you would trace the wires through the walls back to the power boxes to speed up the air vents and blow up the fans so that you could transition from section to section through the ventilation system. And that was puzzle solving. And at the end of the Ada Wong section, you're trapped in an incinerator. And again, you have to use your hacking tool to destroy the motors, I guess, of the incinerating shaft so that you can, not burn to death. Again, it's puzzle solving, but it's more about reaction time than thinking. Because the incinerator shaft, I think, gives you like a minute to do it, and you can honestly finish the whole thing in like 20... You can honestly finish that section in like 20 seconds. If you know where you're clicking. Otherwise, you're just tracing the wires and you're going, fuck, I gotta do this again because I died, And it can be frustrating the first few times, but it's not boring. Sherry's run was boring. There's only so much an 8-year-old girl can do, I get it, but it was boring. Again, I would love to take this back out to the outdoor sections of the Resident Evil 2 game, where you can hide behind buses, you can slide under cars, you can tiptoe past the zombies that are staggering around, throw rocks and glass bottles to distract the zombies, and maybe they will add this to new Resident Evil games in the future, if this ever comes up again. Who knows? I haven't played Nemesis yet. It's on my to-do list, but I wanted to get the full platinum and all the DLC 100% in Resident Evil 2 before I even picked up Resident Evil 3. So who knows what the future of the game is going to hold. But the Sherry section and the Sherry section alone was the biggest flaw in Resident Evil 2 that I personally ever experienced. And maybe I'm just not experienced enough in the Resident Evil universe, which I fully admit I'm not. My first Resident Evil game that I played was actually Biohazard, Resident Evil 7. And then after Resident Evil 7, I played Resident Evil 6, which I know is not popular, but I liked it. As somebody who's not a huge fan of the Resident Evil franchise, as I've mentioned before, Resident Evil 6 was totally serviceable. It's just a mindless zombie shooting game. It was fine. It wasn't complicated. It wasn't hard. It was fun. The multiplayer sucked, but at least the story was okay. And then I went from 6 to 2. And that's it. I haven't played Code Veronica. I haven't played Resident Evil 1, technically. I haven't played 5. I haven't played 4. And Nemesis is next on the Resident Evil list, but that's assuming that I don't get frustrated with doing the Hunk playthrough or Fourth Survivor playthrough in Resident Evil 2. But yeah, Sherry, you were one of the biggest disappointments in Resident Evil 2, and you should really feel bad for that.